Today we will be solving 9618 May-June 2023 question paper 4-2's question number 3, which is about object-oriented programming. So the question says, a company needs a computer program to store data about its employees. Part of the program is being written using object-oriented programming. The class employee stores data about the employees. Each employee has an employee number, a job title, and an hourly pay rate. The class will also store the amount they are paid each week over a 52-week year in a 1D array. So this is all of the information about the attributes and the methods which are about in the class. So we will get back to these as we go through the question. So the first part says, write program code to declare the class employee. You only need to declare the class and its constructor. Do not declare any other methods. Use your programming language appropriate constructor. If you are writing program code in Python, include attribute declarations using comments. So for this video, we'll be using Python. So of course, then we have to use declarations as well in comments. So for this part, we only need to refer to the constructor and of course the attributes that are given in the first box, and we do not have anything to do with these three methods as yet. So we're going to start off by making the constructor first. We are going to declare our class, and the class name is employee as mentioned in the question. And now we are going to declare all the parameters that are mentioned in the question. So we have to use the exact wording that they've used so we don't lose extra marks. So first is hourly pay, then employee number, job title, and pay year 2022, which is an array. Yeah, I hope I wrote it correct. Yes. So now we have to declare these attributes as private. So we are just going to use the same name, and we have to use this double underscore sort of technique to make it private, and just going to declare it as an identifier. I use the same name so that we're not confused when we're writing the code, because if we keep using different name for the parameter and the attribute that is going to be used inside the class, that would create some sort of a confusion. So sorry. So this would help us. Alright, and we also had to write the attribute declarations because we are using Python. So hourly pay is a real and string and real. String and real. Alright, so this does it for our class declaration. Check with our constructor as well to make sure that we have not done anything wrong. Initialize this. Oh, so pay year 2022 is not passed as a parameter, it's just one of the attributes in the class, and we have to initialize it to 0.0. So we will not write it in the parameters. Instead, we will just initialize it as an array, 0.0 for underscore in range 52. So that lets us declare it as an array. Alright, so for the second part, now moving on to the B part, second part, sorry, it says the method get employee number returns the employee number. So for the getter, we have to write get employee number, and we can just simply return the employee number. Alright. Now the third part says the method set pay takes a week number and the number of hours worked that week as parameters, calculates the pay for that week by multiplying the hourly pay by the number of hours worked that week, stores the calculated pay in the appropriate index for the week in pay year 2022. So we have to write the program code. So it takes week number and number of hours worked that week as parameters. So we can highlight this. So it's easier for us. So we'll just go step by step. So these are our two parameters. Okay, so okay. So I've declared the two parameters. Calculates the pay for that week by multiplying the hourly pay by the number of hours worked each week. So we have the hourly pay as the one of the attributes in our class, and we have to multiply it by the number of hours worked that week, which is one of our parameters. So let's do that. So it's gonna be, and that makes the pay. So we can do it like this. Self dot underscore hourly pay multiplied by num hours. So this makes our pay. Stores the calculated pay in the appropriate index for that week in the pay year 2022. So we took the week number as a parameter, so we are going to use that as an index to the array, which is pay year 2022, and then we're going to store it in that index because the index is referencing to the week number which we took as parameter, so we can just do that simply. So instead of just having another variable, we can just do it directly as well. Self dot underscore, and then week now. So what this is doing is that it's multiplying the hourly pay, which was just an attribute in our class initially, and we are multiplying that with the number of hours that were worked by that specific employee that week, and we are storing it in our array, which is pay year 2022, and we are putting it in week num, the index which is at week num. So that just does it for set pay. Here we also have to take note of one thing, is that in Python the array starts from a 0. So the first index is 0, but of course there is no week 0 when you're working as an employee. It always starts from week 1. So the indexing would be like one number before the week number that we already have. So for instance, if it's week number 1, it's going to be stored at index number 0 of the array. So we have to do week number minus 1 so that it's stored in the correct index as well. So this is one catch that was there in this part. The fourth part is the method get total pay returns the total of all the values in pay year 2022. So we have to write program code for this. So all of the methods that they ask you to declare in the question are already given in the table as well, so you can always refer back to it to make sure that there's no extra thing that is required. Sometimes they use to trick it to use it to trick you and like not mention all the details in the question itself. So we are going to write the in program code for it. So it's going to be get total pay and it's going to put itself in private by itself by writing self over here, and we are just going to initialize total to 0, and because we know that there are 52 elements, so we're just going to put a for loop and we're just going to add it to total. So this is it for this method. So for the next part, it asks us to declare the child class manager inherits from the parent class employee. So we have to make a child class basically. So this is an inheritance question. So the manager gets a bonus. The bonus value is a percentage, for example 10%, which means that it's going to be a real, which is also mentioned in the table. When calculating the pay, the number of hours the manager worked that week is increased by the bonus value. So over here in the constructor, they've already mentioned that these are all the parameters that were already in the parent class, which is employee. So we're going to inherit it from the parent class and use it in our child class so that we don't have to declare it again and again. And bonus value is also a parameter value, so we are going to use that as well. Now we have to make the child class, which will inherit from the parent class employee, and now we will declare the parameters. Okay, so they're the same as the ones we had in our parent class plus the bonus value. Okay, so because the rest of these three parameters are being inherited from the parent class, so we will use the super thing, and we will just paste these. So that just means that we don't have to declare the parent class attributes again and again in the child class. They will automatically shift to the child class when we use the super variable. Alright, and the other parameter will be declared, which is only part of the child class. So now that we have declared the constructor, we have to declare the other method. So the manager method setPay overrides the method from the parent class. So this is an overriding method. So it the same as the one originally. It takes the week number and the number of hours worked as parameters, and it increases the number of hours worked by the bonus value. So this is something new. So we can highlight it with a different color. So it increases, yeah. And then we have to call setPay from the parent class as well. Okay, so now we have to stay inside our class, and yeah, so this does it for us. And okay, we've taken those as parameters, and increases the number of hours worked by the bonus value. So for example, if the bonus value is 10%, so it's gonna increase by 1.1. So this is maths actually, so we're just gonna do it like that. So we have num hours is equal to num hours into 1 plus, we'll just, sorry, yeah. So we're using self because it's one of the parameters that are part of the child class only. Otherwise we would have used super if we were using one of the attributes that were part of the parent class as well. So then we call setPay. Okay. Week num and num hours. So I hope this is clear that what we're doing in this method is that for the, okay, so this symbol shows that it's an overriding method, right? So overrides the method in employee. So what we're doing is that we're increasing the number of hours by the bonus value that was given, and then we're putting it back into the parent class's attribute setPay so that it can be used over there. So we're using super, which kind of indicates the fact that we're using it from the class employee and not from the class manager. So the super variable kind of removes this confusion basically for us. So for the next part, now it's time to go to the main program basically. Yeah. So it says that the main program has a global 1D array, alright, and it's called employee array to store the data about the 8 employees. So it's telling us how many employees there are, so that we can declare our array accordingly. So each employee is stored as an object of the type employee. So it's going to be of the data type of the array is going to be employee class, which is the class, yeah. Okay, so the file employees.txt stores the data about the employees in the order hourly pay, employee number, bonus value where included, and job title. So what they're saying over here is that this is the order in which the data is stored in the file that we are given, the source file that we have. But the catch here is that, for example, the first line is going to be the hourly pay, the second line is going to be the employee number, but that depends. But for the third line, the bonus value, it depends on whether the employee is a manager or not. So we don't really know basically that if the third line in this 4-liner data is going to be a bonus value or if it's just going to be a job title, because if it's a normal employee, then there's going to be no bonus value. Alright, this is going to be 3 lines of data for that one specific employee, and this bonus value would not exist. Alright, and if it's a manager, then it's going to have a bonus value included. So yeah, so that's what we have to make sure when we're sort of collecting our data or putting that into our array, that we have to kind of tally when we're sort of putting the data into the array. If the third line is basically a real, which is going to be the bonus value. If it's the bonus value, it's going to be a real data type. If it's a job title, it's going to be a string data type. So that is probably the way that we're going to use. I'm going to see the question ahead, and that's probably the way that we're going to be able to differentiate if it's an employee or if it's a manager, basically. So only employees who are managers have a bonus value saved. Yeah, that's what they're saying ahead. So for example, the first employee is a junior developer. So this is going to be the first line, for example, in the data, with the employee number 12452, which is also given over here, that they're going to have the employee number and an hourly pay of 15.22. This employee does not have a bonus value. All right. The third employee is an interface manager, and with the employee, so this is the job title. Actually, they've not given it in order. This is the job title. Junior developer was the job title, basically, with the employee number this and an hourly pay of this. So the employee has a bonus value of 5.25. This means that this person is a manager, which is also given in the job title. Okay, so we have to write the main program now to declare the array to store the data about the 8 employees. Read in the data from the file from each employee. So this is also a file handling question. So instantiate each employee as either employee or manager, depending on whether if it has a bonus value or not. So let's get started. Okay, so for this part, I like to separate my code from the main program so that it's easier for me to it's easier to walk through the code. So what it's saying is that declare the array to store the data about the 8 employees, and but the information about the array is that it's a 1D array named employee array, and it has 8 elements, and it's on the object of type employee. Okay, so for now I'm going to declare it as an empty array, because if I declare it as an object, it's going to start asking me to add the parameter values, so that's going to create some confusion. Okay, so now for the file, now we're going to open the file. Okay, so this is my desktop and this is all of my files. So this is the employee txt. So I'm going to right click on it and get info, and over there I'm going to copy the location where it says where, so that is the location of the file, and then I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it over here, and then I'm also going to write the file name, which is employees.txt. And then we have to open it for read. Okay, so this opens our file. So now we have to, okay, so now they said that the first line is the hourly pay. So I'm just gonna make a variable, and we're gonna read the first line of the line. Okay, so you do know that when we do read line, so the next time I'm going to write this specific line, file.readline.strip, the strip just removes extra space from the line, so it's going to read the next line. So it's basically in order. So the next time I do this, it's going to give me the employee number of that employee, basically. So I'm going to declare the employee number as another variable and do file.readline.strip. Yeah, so these both are the same. The first two things are the same for both the manager and the employee. So now it's time to check whether it's a manager or whether it's an employee, right? So our third line is basically going to be either be the job title if it's a normal employee, or a bonus value if it's a manager. So for now, because I don't know if the employee is a manager or a normal employee, I'm just going to write unknown, because I'm not sure if that specific data, the third line, is a bonus value or a job title, right? So I'm going to do file.readline.strip. Okay, so how we're going to write the code for this is now that we're basically going to check if this unknown value can convert to a float or not. A float is basically a real number or a decimal number, right? So if it's able to convert to a float number, then that means that the value is a bonus value. If it's not able to convert to a float number, then that means it's a job title, because strings can't be converted to float number, right? Only numbers or values can be converted to float numbers. So for that, we're going to do try unknown. Okay, So bonus is equal to float and unknown. Okay, so if this works, then it's automatically going to stay inside this loop. If it doesn't, it's going to go to the except part that we write afterwards. So this means that it's actually a bonus value, and now we have to get the fourth line, which is the job title. So it's going to be readline dot strip. So this gets us our job title. So one thing that we forgot to do here was to put this inside a loop. So we basically had to put it in a loop of 8 elements because it has to run 8 times. Okay, so this means that if it's a bonus value, it's going to be the third line is going to be put into a bonus value. Now we're going to read the fourth line, which is going to be the job title. So now we are going to call the employee array, and in that, we are going to put it in the, so this means it's a manager because it has a bonus value. So yeah, okay, so now we have to get the hourly pay, then the employee number, then the job title, and then the bonus. Okay, so if this doesn't work, if it does not convert to a float value, then that means that the unknown is a job title, and we are going to call the employee array with the index x, and we are going to put it in the employee class, and it's going to give me the parameters. Yes, this is working. Put the employee number. Yeah, so this is how we are going to do, and now we have to close the file as well actually. Yeah, so now we're going to do file dot close. Yeah, we're going to do it at the end obviously, because if we do it inside the loop, then it's going to reopen every single time. Okay, it's not in the loop anyways. So this is how we're going to do it after the loop. For the D part, it says the file hours1.txt stores the number of hours each employee has worked in week 1. Okay, in the order employee number and the number of hours worked. So obviously there are going to be like 8 sets of data, and the first line is going to be the employee number, and the second line is going to be the number of hours worked. So for example, the first set of data is for the employee 21548 who has worked 50 hours. So obviously it's going to correspond to the original file that we had, which was employees.txt. Okay, so we have to write a procedure. Enter hours is going to be in the main program. It's not part of the classes that we declared earlier. So it reads in the values from the file, finds the location of each employee in the employee array, calls the method set pay for each employee. So basically in this part we would have to have two loops. One loop is for to run 8 times in the file to get the data for all of the 8 employees, and the second loop is going to be to run through the array, because it's the array order and the file order are not the same. So whenever we get the employee number from the file, we have to tally it from all the indexes in the employee array to make sure that they correspond, and then we're going to get the information from the array basically. So now we are going to start declaring the procedure. Okay, so I'm going to have a new variable called new file. You can write anything and we will just gonna open it. Okay, so again, this is our file. We're gonna get info, and then we are gonna get the location of the file, and we are gonna paste it here, and then we have to write the name of the file as well, which is hours week 1.txt, and we are opening it for read. Okay, so this is our new file. So it's good to put it in the try loop as well, so that in case the file does not open, it's going to give us the error. Okay, now we are going to put a loop. So for example, we've already used x above, so we can just use y. For y in range 8, so the first line is the employee number, right? So we're going to put it into a variable named number. So it's going to be new file dot readline dot strip. Strip. Now it's going to store the employee number inside. Now we are going to put our second loop for z in range 8. Now this is going to run through the array, so we are going to basically check if it's the same. So if number is equal to employee array z dot get employee number, right? So if it's the same, then we are gonna, okay, so we will now call set pay if it's the same one, and we are, because the week is 1, they've already told in the question that it's week 1, so we don't really need to change the week, and we are just gonna do new file dot readline dot strip, and this is gonna store it, and otherwise it's gonna run through the loop. And then we're gonna close the file. No, yeah. And then we're gonna put the except condition, which is print file not found. Alright, so this does it for the D part. Okay, now it says that the main program needs to call enter hours and use the method get total pay to output the employee number and the total pay. So we have to output 2 things for each of the 8 employees, which means that we have to put it in a loop. So we have to amend the main program and then it's test your program. So now we are going to go back to the main program. I'm going to call enter hours, and then we're going to put a loop which is going to be this, and then we're going to get employee number and get total pay. Okay, now we are going to try running this and see if we have any errors. Okay, so oh sorry, we didn't put the index here. Okay, let's run through our code. It's giving file not found. Okay, so we had to put a float here. Actually, we had to convert it to a float, and the reason why it's giving none is that this might not be returning anything. So I'm not sure if we did the, yeah, we didn't write the return total thing. Now it should. So I just ran through the code, and the issue we had over here was that we didn't convert the second line, which was supposed to be the hourly pay, to a float. So it needs to, because it cannot be a string when we're putting it in a parameter as set pay. So now when we run it, it's gonna run. Yeah, so this is our final answer. So I hope this video was helpful, and please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.